Hola, buenos días. Soy Nico. Hola, editing Nico. Ignore the pile of clean laundry. It's clean. Point is, I went to go get lunch with my dad, and then I was supposed to come back and edit. And while we were at lunch, he was like, "Oh yeah, your aunt's lung transplant went well." And I said, "Her what?" And he said, "Her lung transplant is going well." I'm like, "When did she get a lung transplant? Where is she at?" So I was just at the hospital for like a couple of hours. I apologize. Point is, being back home with my family has made me a little disoriented, but here's the content. And today, we're here to start off another wonderful week's worth of content. Well, yes, today we are here for the Nico's quick chat. This chat may be quick, it may not be quick, because I have a lot of things to say about it. But before we get started, if you like this kind of conversation, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive videos. Weekly live streams, be a part of the live streams, where we have a multifaceted conversation with a varied panel depending on the week. If that sounds interesting to you, definitely tune in. Today, we are going to be talking about the Jonathan Joss situation. Nico, what is that? If you are not from Texas, if you have not been online the past few days, Jonathan Joss played John Redcorn from season 2 onward in King of the Hill. If you are from Texas, you know King of the Hill by heart. That's my purse. I don't know you. But yes, propane accessories. No. Point is, he is a part of the culture, Southern and queer. If you did not know, Jonathan Joss is a Native American man, and he is queer, and his partner is trans. So there are levels that comes into this discussion. Now, if you did not know, if you're just looking by the media, they are saying that he has passed away. It's such an unfortunate loss of life. What they're not telling you is that it was a murder and a hate crime. Nico, what do you mean? His partner is trans and he identifies as queer. So in that dynamic, he has been reporting that for the past 2 years, in their neighborhood where he owns property, they have been receiving threats to their life and safety, saying if they did not leave, that their home was going to be burned down, that they were going to be attacked, that they were going to be berated, essentially for existing as a queer person of color within a Texan neighborhood. Jonathan has been reporting these incidents to law enforcement for the last 2 years, and even when they came back for the King of the Hill reboot special, where they basically sat down with the stars and did a panel, which he was not a part of. Nico, what do you mean? All the main character voices, the producers, they were on stage. He, someone who has been with the show since season 2 onward, who is also in the reboot, was not invited to be on the panel. He was simply there for an open conversation, and when he got the mic, he basically exclaimed to the crowd, "Hey, I've been getting harassed for the last 2 years. I've been receiving death threats and arson threats to his home, and that his home had been burned down." So while he is talking about this to this large group of people, they are laughing and making light of the situation. So he became so disheartened that he walked off. And his co-stars, who then sent out a "I'm so sorry that you passed," basically brushed him off and moved him off the set so that they could continue their Q&A. So I want to say, first and foremost, Adult Swim and the people behind this reboot and the original show, they can burn, because they did not truly care about their castmate of the last 20-something years, because this is a long-running, Texan history, pride, whatever TV show. So if this man has been sending in law enforcement notifications, he has been trying to talk to large groups of people, to his friends, his co-stars, and everybody's turning a blind eye until he is gone, that is something terrible. Especially because how he passed away was basically him and his partner were going to the mailbox where they found the skull of one of their dogs that had passed away in the fire in there as a threat. And as he began to break down crying from mental anguish, his neighbor decided to come up to him and berate him by screaming out homophobic obscenities, where he then raised a and Jonathan pushed his partner out of the way and took the instead and passed away. So in what universe does a queer man who is partnered with a trans partner is
down in the middle of broad daylight at their mailbox in their neighborhood after finding the severed, burned head of their dog in the mailbox, not viewed as a hate crime. I don't understand first why the media is trying to cover it as, oh, it's just a simple passing, and his co-stars in Hollywood, oh, rest in peace, John. First of all, Chris Pratt will pay for the sins that he has committed against cinema and against this man, because how dare you simply go rest in peace, bub? Somebody was just in the middle of the street and everybody just pretending like it's just a simple passing of old age. So I'm not understanding what's happening, but I also want us to understand this is a precedent. This is a warning that the mainstream media is not going to look at our community and see the crimes and atrocities being put against us, our trans brothers and sisters, and everyone encompassed, because I need to remind y'all, when it came to LGBT rights, trans people were the frontliners. Once again, it was trans women fighting for your right to exist as a gay boy. So when y'all try to simply push people out of the community and try to put yourself first, well, I'm cisgendered, I'm not into all that weird shit. You are setting yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up for failure by trying to throw people within our community under the bus, whether they be Native American, whether they be cisgender, whether they be trans, to try to put yourself forward to be, I'm one of the model minorities. I shouldn't have to identify with that struggle when they're the ones fighting for your rights. You sicken me. And we talk about this on my channel all the time, because I do choose not to cover a lot of trans conversations, except when it comes to policy and or viral sensations, for the sole fact that I've realized that some of y'all are not educated enough. Some of y'all are not in a progressive enough mindset to understand that people deserve basic human decency and respect no matter how they present in the world, because they're human beings. And then I rarely come on here and get irate with y'all, but I don't accept transphobia. I don't accept racism. I don't accept xenophobia. That's something I'm never going to co-sign. So when it comes to situations like this, trans rights are rights. Trans people deserve the right to exist, just as gay boys deserve the right to go and party in jockstraps and thongs. I'm not here for the foo-foo lame shit. If we're going to talk about things that actually encompass our community, we need to properly tackle them. So in this situation, it's going to be a quick chat. I'm going to incorporate this TikTok that breaks it all down more accurately, but I wanted to get Jonathan Joss's story out there for the sole fact that he has been going through the right avenues. He has been trying to protect himself. He has been trying to keep him and his partner and their animals safe, and they have been harassed because they are queer and in the South. So once again, this story needs to be broadcasted. This story needs to be heard. It does not need to be swept under the rug by simply saying, oh, rest in peace, he passed. No, he was murdered. It was a hate crime. And I hope the King of the Hill reboot burns. I hope it flops. I hope none of you have a career going forward. And Chris Pratt, you already don't have a career besides Guardians of the Galaxy, which I hope is done because it was piss poor at that. You're going to meet your maker. You're going to meet your maker, or you're going to have to answer for the kind of shit that you put out into the world. But with that being said, I'll leave the conversation up to y'all. Did y'all hear about this? Did y'all know that John Redcorn, Jonathan Joss, from season 2 onward, was murdered? Or did you simply hear, oh, he passed away? Did you watch King of the Hill? Because once again, I have to say in the comments, I'm from Texas. Everybody has to watch at least 5 episodes of King of the Hill. It's just part of the culture. But with that being said, I'll leave the conversation up to y'all, and I will see you guys next time. Boop.
And just like that, I am not watching King of the Hill, because why would you, the creators of this show, dismiss your actor after he tells you he's a victim of arson?
My house burned down 3 months ago. Because I'm gay. I've had a couple loves in my life. And Sniper, you guys wrote an episode where I had an older lady. Hey, Johnny, maybe we can bump right now. I was just, what? You're doing the same thing, sir, but mine's full of emotion and real. I'm just saying that for Johnny, he gave you guys a character because he is that character. Yeah. He is that person.
This is Jonathan Joss, the voice of John Redcorn.
So, I'll shut up.
All right, well, again, shout out to Johnny and also to Top Daddy.
So, but again, to Luann and Lucky, how are you?
And let me give you a little backstory about this event. So this was a showing of The King of the Hill while the creators and some of the cast members sat down to take a Q&A from the audience. Jonathan Joss, who did not appear on stage but did appear in the crowd, stood up before the Q&A was to begin and gave a heartfelt speech about how he was a victim of arson because of homophobia. And seemingly, everybody on the stage just dismisses him while the crowd begins to laugh at certain points of his speech. And because he was disheartened, Jonathan Joss walks off. And just to rewind a couple of months, Jonathan Joss, when he spoke at that King of the Hill event, stated that he was a victim of arson sometime around February, which all ties together around that shooting. So according to Jonathan's husband, he stated that Jonathan went back to the home that was arsoned that ended up killing their 3 dogs to check the mail. His husband goes on to state that after 2 years of threats from people in the area who repeatedly told us that they would set their house on fire, they stated that they reported the threats to law enforcement and nothing was done. His husband goes on to state that when Jonathan returned to the home to check the mail, he saw one of the skulls of their dogs that was burned in the house, and he had an emotional breakdown. His husband continues to say that while he was crying and in distress, one of the neighbors, and let me show you his mugshot here, he goes by the name of Sigfredo Alvarez, who is currently in custody. Well, apparently he saw Jonathan having this emotional breakdown, began to yell homophobic slurs, and then this is when he shot him. His husband goes on to say that when the altercation occurred between Alvarez and Jonathan, which again, I didn't know Jonathan's husband was there too as well, checking the mail, he stated that Jonathan pushed him out of the way and ultimately saved his life. Now, Tristan, Jonathan's husband, stated that he's going to carry him saving his life forward and he will protect everything that Jonathan had built. Now, as for the creators of King of the Hill dismissing Jonathan as he was telling that emotional testimony about his house burning down, I got no words for them. And as far as that reboot, they can count me out because I'm definitely not watching it after witnessing this.